In this week's episode of For High Garage, I have already started on yard work. But I'm done. So now onto the Jeep. And we are going to go through some basic maintenance and checks since I've already been driving this Jeep for quite a bit now, done a couple of trips. Just doesn't quite run like a sewing machine like the old Jeep did. I mean, that old one just purred. And it could be the higher mileage, who knows, but we're going to kind of run through some of the things that we can test for, and it probably needs anyway. We're going to do a fuel pressure test. I've been meaning to get myself a fuel pressure gauge, as well as a smoke machine. That's going to be fun to play with, just to double check I don't have a vacuum leak. I've got a compression test. Why not? We're going to do a spark plugs and wires, cap, rotor, all that kind of stuff. So while all that's out, might as well do a compression test just to make sure. It's probably fine, but might as well get in there. So let's get started. Well, at least I found my audio problem pretty quickly on. So if it looks a little smoky in here, it's because I already shot this. So let's do it again. Picked up this relatively cheap smoke machine off Amazon. I think spent about $80 on it. Spent another $20 on this EGR connector. To connect to that port, you do have to remove the Schrader valve out of there, and that Schrader valve is a reverse thread. This kit comes with, okay, that's on the ground now. This kit comes with a whole bunch of different adapters, which is nice. It comes with a bunch of these plug off, so if you need to plug something off. This, I think, is for exhaust, so you could test for exhaust leaks. Or intake, maybe. I don't typically do intake. I would do intake, which I haven't done yet, which will disconnect right off the vacuum booster. You can stick it in the vacuum booster end to test the vacuum booster, but I'm certain that's good. But just to get it straight into your intake and not have to mess with that. I did talk about the two types of fluids. There is a recommended fluid that I have messed with, and then you can get P. Diddy's favorite, baby oil. The baby oil, which is still in this machine, works, but it takes longer to kind of get going. And I don't know if this is going to come through on the camera or not, but it does give like a residue, like a burnt oil residue. The other one did not. So if you can afford to pay twice as much, I would just go with the recommended fluid and skip over the baby oil. But if you're in a pinch, run to your local grocery store and grab some baby oil. All right, got her all plugged in. Chugging along. I had already crawled underneath to check all the lines, and nothing is leaking. And you can see smoke is coming out of the vent tube. That's the vent tube for the charcoal canister. So we appear to be pretty good in terms of that system. So now let's plug it into the brake booster and see if we got any leaks anywhere else. All right, still a little hazy from the other thing, but we got her plugged into the line of the brake booster, so we should be filling up there, and I can already see there is a small leak at the throttle body, at the shaft that goes through the throttle body. All right, yeah. It's hard to see in this light. Where's the flashlight? I don't even know if that's going to come through. But it's not below the throttle body. It's at the shaft for the throttle body. And is it coming out anywhere else? Nope. Now we're starting to come out of the air box. You can see it come out of the air box right there on the corner. So I think that's it. And I don't know if that's a common problem or not. First time I've owned a smoke machine. I've used them before several times, but I didn't get to mess with my other XJ. So we'll just have to keep that in mind. I'd rather not have to replace a whole throttle body. If you guys know if that's a pretty common leak point and shouldn't affect a whole lot, then I'll just leave it like that. And just do the tune-up, see where we're at after all of that. Check the fuel pressure. You know, go through the basics and go from there. Got my new to me Hobo Freight fuel pressure gauge attached to the straighter valve there, right on the rail. Should be something like 49, give or take 5 psi. All right, hopefully that'll catch whatever excitement happens. Okay, looks like we are at 45, 46. So that is within spec. You can kind of hear. It sounds pretty good. Maybe it's I can feel it. Almost like a miss. So, but that's not likely my problem. Nothing changes there. Okay. All right, so far so good. So let's just move forward with doing the tune-up. And while we're going through that process, we'll check compression just for giggles. All right, next up we're gonna pull plug wires, inspect the cap and rotor, and then start pulling spark plugs and taking a look at those. Ooh. Yeah, I don't know if it'll come through, but there's quite a bit corrosion on that guy. He's not too bad. Oh, wow. That might be part of my problem. So that center button is almost completely gone. It's basically a brand new spark plug. Look at that. That's in good shape. Number 2. A little cruddy in there. It's a little rusty. Doesn't look like it was firing all that. Also pretty new. Looking pretty new. Pretty good though. I mean, I think the outside's a little rusty, but it's set. This Jeep sat for a long time, so that could be it. So far, it kind of looks like there's, maybe 5,000 miles on those spark plugs. Actually, the wires look really good too. I was expecting them to be a lot worse. Still a little crud on that, but I could have gotten there on the way out. Now he finally looks like he's done some burning. It never hurts to write down which plug went where. This time, I decided to print out the firing order and then just lay it out on each individual cylinder. Here we can see the spark plugs are in really good shape, other than the outside being a little rusty. Next up, doing an old car mechanic trip. So old that I bet even David Freiberger or Dalton from Pole Barn Garage or Newbern or Tony from Stay Tuned, any of those guys even know about this trick. You probably don't even know about this trick. And that is bringing old spark plugs back to life with an egg wash. That's right, an egg wash. You may or may not know this, but eggs have a variety of acids. They have amino acids, fatty acids, and an assortment of other organic acids. Let's see, maybe one more, just to be able to soak them all at the same time. Mix them up like you're making some scrambled eggs. Oh yeah, that's good. Nice and good. And we just put them in there. Move them around. Let them soak. Gonna let that sit for a few hours and let them soak. In the meantime, let's check out snack time. All right. Snack time. It's fun checking out different grocery stores, and me and my oldest kiddo went to this H Mart, is what it's called. Some of you may be familiar with it, but it's basically all things Asian grocery store, and found something that I assume in Japanese this translates to pineapple cake, because there's pineapples and it says in English pineapple cake, but I have no idea what it is. It looks kind of like a fig Newton shape. It's pretty dense. Oh, look at that. It's got a gooey inside. It's very dry. But unlike Americans, they're not into like super duper duper sweet stuff. Once you kind of get it around in there, it's pretty good. It's just like, it looks like pulped pineapple in the middle here, and some kind of just fig Newton-y cake on the outside. Pretty good. Wish I could share it with you guys. We eat a couple of these and get back at it. Very chewy. Okay, next up we're going to do a compression test. But first, we need to call in a little helper in order to turn over the motor as we do that compression test. Okay, I'm doing this in backwards order, 6 to 1. All right, turn it over. All right, looks like we got 125, 130, almost 130 on number 6. Ay! Ha ha! You write that down. Number 5. All right, turn her over. Yeah, also 130. Nice. Here's number 4. Okay, turn her over. Also 130. All right, here comes number 3. All right, turn her over. All right, that was also 130. Okay, now for number 2. Turn her over. That is the first one. That is a little low. That is 115.
Is that bad?
That's not great. No. Looked like it was firing all that. We'll turn it down a little, crank it down. Maybe it's leaking out a little bit. Let's try doing this one more time. Okay. Turn her over. Nope, still 115. All right, number 1 cylinder. Turn it over. That is one ornery unicorn. That one is 120 on the nose. 120 on the nose. Okay, after all of that, number 2 is our outlier. It is just barely below 10%. Or, yeah. So 117 would be 130 minus 13. 10%, so just below 117. But this is the notorious 4.0 that just keeps going even if you're completely down a cylinder. So I'm not super concerned, but we've got 2 things that we can see now. One, the vacuum leak that's right around the throttle body shaft, and number 2 cylinder is lower than the others. This is right around a 220,000 mile Jeep, and those are actually really great compression numbers for that high mileage. So I'm not super concerned about the compression numbers. That vacuum leak seemed really, really minimal, so I'm not really super concerned about that. I'm just going to move forward with doing the tune-up and take her out, blow out the cobwebs, and see how it runs after that. All right, it's been a couple hours. Let's see how spark plugs turned out. Holy cow, look at that. Man. Cold anodized it and everything. That is clean. I'm telling you, that is egg-tastic. Our attorneys have advised us to let you know, do not run your car on egg-washed spark plugs. I was kidding. This is interesting. So I bought a kit from Excel, all that kind of stuff, partly to get a better coil. It's crazy once you sort of add up, hey, I want to have a improved spark, add a high-end coil to your cart and some new regular spark plugs and regular wires, and you're basically at the price of the kit. These coils aren't particularly cheap, and you've got to get the little, oh, there it is, little adapter that goes from your factory harness to this connector style. All right. It's been kind of in the back of my head about these spark plugs. They've got several thousand miles on them, and I would have assumed more evidence. So I'm wondering if they're not a little hot. So if you look at the kit that came from Excel, it is a colder plug. So that'll be interesting to see. We'll run this for a few thousand miles and pull them out and see how they look. We can always go back. I mean, these guys are cheap. The auto lights, ugh, nothing. So we can always go back. I gapped these to 035. That's what the book calls for. These were gapped at 040. And I could maybe go a little bit wider because of the improved coil. But I think we'll just keep it as is, since that's where I'm at. There's a mess of coiled wires and whatnots, and it's not going to focus, but here's the coil. And it looks like it's attached to a bracket, and I believe where all these grounds are running is what that bracket is mounted to. So I think it's going to be easiest just to pull that bracket and the coil together. There we go. Got those two nuts off. Some of you might be like, just take it off the bracket. Leave the bracket, remove the thing. And I say to you, you should never miss the opportunity to clean up your grounds. No idea what all those go to. But they're probably important. This is probably all of the engine grounds in one spot. Those back ones came out are studs. So we'll get all that cleaned up. Be a good ground. And we'll pull this guy off. And otherwise I would have had to get something on either end of that. Okay. All right. I got the Excel coil attached to the bracket. I did have to open up the bracket holes on this end by one drill bit size or one step on the step bit size because the holes in the Excel coil are slightly narrower than the stock one. So, but it's fine. It holds it just good. Look at warning, lethal voltage. Now, young Skywalker, you must die. That was dumb. Cut that. Bum, 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 bum. Ba-na-na-na, bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. And she's in. Whew. Getting toasty. All right, so it's easier to unplug and plug after you've unbolted it. Just FYI. All right, got all the new spark plugs in. Easy peasy. Onto the cap and rotor and spark plug wires. And that is where I think I found my problem. So, let's see if we can get some good lighting in here. This is a new cap, and the center button, let's see if I can get some light on that. You can see it. It's got some spring to it. It's nice and proud. Reminds me of something else. Anyway, here is the stock one. We can see there's no spring. In fact, I don't know if you can see it or not, but whatever's left of that button is just gone. There's like the smallest nub left. I bet that was my problem, given how these wires look pretty brand new. I think I just needed a new cap and probably rotor. All right, for those of you who don't know, most stock caps will have a marking for the number 1 cylinder. And this Excel one does not have a marking. But on the Cherokee, the cap only fits one way. So you've got 2 screw holes down there. And if you put it on the wrong way, we'll line it up with that guy. You can see that does not line up. So before we get too far along, we're going to figure out which one of these pegs should be number 1. So this guy sat in there with the one down, which means I'm creating shade here, but we want that to be number 1. So we'll get our little paint marker and we'll put a 1 on it. Ba-doop. All right, now that we got the cap figured out, I'm going to put the rotor on before we forget. And it's got a little tab inside that lines up with this guy. So it actually only goes on one way. There we go. All right, wire set. I got the Excel brand, which is way overkill, but hey, what the hell. And this is where, like, if you're keeping your wires, you would just move one over to the next. Here, we're just going to pull one off, find one that's about the same size, and move it over there. And that's a little dielectric grease. Some comes in the kit, along with these cable holders, but my Jeep still has the stock cable holders, which is awesome. So these will go in my cable holder bin. Oh, I just noticed that some of these, right, straight, 45 straight. So that's going to make this a little bit easier. There you have it, all ready to go. We will save all the old wires since they're still good. Maybe another project, or maybe I throw 1 or 2 of them in my trail bag just in case, you know, can do a field repair. Let's get it in. Okay, let's get this spaghetti western in here. Yeah, I'm not 100% positive how these all clip into their stock locations. Like that. Seems like that might work for number 1, sort of. No, I don't really like that, any of that. Yeah, it's good. We'll just make sure all of them are seated. Oh, that one might not have been 100%. All right. That looks great. All right. We're grounded. Everything looks good. Let's start her over and see how she sounds. Yeah. A lot better. Holy cow. Oh, gal just needed a tune-up. All right, let's go for a test drive. See how it feels. It already sounds a lot better. All right, let's see how it takes off. Yeah, it pretty much takes off like a mobility scooter, which that's pretty on par for an XJ. Whatever that like miss and sputter I was having is gone. So it certainly was the cap and the upgraded XL coil and wires. It's not really necessary. I just did it on a whim. I liked it on the other XJ, so I figured it's about easily twice as much money. I think I got that kit from Summit for about $200, so it's not cheap by any measure. It was more of a treat to myself. But as we go along, XJs are no longer for the poors. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention. Replacement parts are still nice and cheap. I'll give it that. You can go on a Rock Auto, get an alternator for like $40 or something like that. But I was on JCR's website the other day, and they were built on us, on the XJ crowd. And God bless them, because they're a funny crowd. I'm happy for their success, but when I went on to see how much rock sliders are, like their classic XJ rock sliders, which I think I spent somewhere around $400 to $600 on originally with shipping, are now like $900 on discount on their website as of today. So, yeah. The XJ is no longer for the poors. This is going to conclude it for this episode of 4 High Garage. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Do all that YouTube stuff. Or don't. I don't care. This is all just for fun. So if you got something out of this, leave a comment. If I did something wrong, leave a comment. You got some snarky comment, leave a comment. We're all here just to have fun. So happy to BS with you guys. Again, thanks for watching.